With nearly 5,000 specialists dedicated to supporting dealer financial services, Ally has the expertise to help you with your retail finance, F&I, and remarketing needs. We're all better off with an Ally. Contact your local Ally account executive to get started today. Ally, do it right.
Welcome to Daily Drive for Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. I'm Jamie Butters, Executive Editor of Automotive News in Detroit.
And I'm Kellen Walker in Las Vegas. Today on the show, President Trump eases some tariff pressure on automakers and suppliers. The White House summons auto execs for U.S. investment talks. And Ford extends employee pricing for all into July. Plus, we'll hear from auto workers who attended President Trump's Michigan rally on Tuesday, and some who were there to protest.
It's simple. When was this country the greatest? The 40s, 50s, some of the 60s. What was our product? Here, by skilled craftsmen.
Let's run through all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry.
The Trump administration is easing tariffs on much of the industry. It's giving automakers and suppliers some of the relief they've been pleading for, but leaving certain questions unanswered. President Trump announced the decision on Tuesday at his rally in Macomb County, Michigan, just outside of Detroit. He said the move will give companies more time to source parts from the U.S.
Just in case we can't get everything in time, we gave them a little bit, so it's 15% of the parts and then it's 10% of the parts. We give them a little time before we slaughter them if they don't do this right.
One order says Trump will allow partial reimbursement for components that make up 15% of a vehicle's value for 1 year and 10% of the vehicle's value for the second year. Vehicles are eligible for the reimbursement only if they are built in the U.S. The tariff modifications may ease some of the strain on automakers, but some analysts and supplier executives say they don't alleviate supply chain disruption. Sam Fiorani is an analyst at Auto Forecast Solutions.
This will ease some of the supply chain issues, but not all of them. This is an industry that has built up with a global supply chain, and the tariffs don't seem to take that into account.
You can find many more details about the tariff changes at autonews.com.
Meanwhile, executives from several auto manufacturers and suppliers that have pledged to make investments in the U.S. are heading to the White House. According to people briefed on the invitation, officials from Hyundai Motor and Toyota are among those expected at today's meeting. Both automakers were on a list of companies the White House said have committed to invest a combined $5 trillion in U.S. manufacturing since Trump took office in January. The list also includes Stellantis, NVIDIA, and Siemens.
Ford is extending its employee pricing for all discounts by more than a month to July 6th. The automaker's From America, For America campaign launched April 3rd and was initially scheduled to end June 2nd. It gives access to A-plan pricing on nearly all Ford and Lincoln models, cutting thousands of dollars off the price of most vehicles. The extensions come as Ford considers increasing vehicle prices in the coming weeks. It told dealers on April 16th that unless Trump made material changes to the tariff policy, it might need to make vehicle pricing adjustments in the future, which is expected to happen with May production. Ford will report April sales on Thursday.
And Stellantis posted weaker global sales on slumping demand in North America. It also suspended its financial guidance for the year. First quarter revenue fell 14% from a year earlier to 35.8 billion euros or $40.7 billion. North American shipments fell 20% in the quarter, a reflection of lower January production, extended holiday downtime, initial ramp-up of refreshed 2025 Ram heavy-duty trucks, and continued gaps from discontinued models. Overall sales in the U.S. dropped 12%, but that tally was dragged down by fleet sales that declined 35% during that span. In contrast, retail sales posted gains. Stellantis says it withdrew guidance because evolving U.S. tariff policies make it hard to predict possible effects on market volumes and the competitive landscape. And those are today's headlines. So, Jamie, President Trump announced Tuesday that he'll give companies more time to source parts for vehicles made in the U.S. One order says he'll allow a partial reimbursement of 15% of a vehicle's value for 1 year, then 10% for the second year. What are your thoughts on his decision?
Yeah, these vehicles are facing a lot of extra costs. It's kind of hard to quantify, but you think about a $50,000 vehicle, it could have up to 15% imported parts and get that waived. That's less than $2,000, when it might be getting, thousands of dollars in extra costs. So, we'll see. It definitely helps some, but what we're hearing from analysts and executives is it really doesn't do enough. It maybe allows some trade to continue, but it's still going to cause a lot of headaches for the industry.
And what are your thoughts on this colorful language he used of, we'll give them a little time before we slaughter them if they don't do this?
Yeah, it's, as you said, colorful language. I think it really helps illustrate the duress that automakers and suppliers were feeling, as they looked at these really onerous extra taxes and, hopefully a little less now, but it still means in 2 years, they're facing really high prohibitive tariffs.
Gotcha. Coming up, our own Paige Hodder talks with auto workers who support President Trump's tariff moves and those who oppose them. That's next on Daily Drive.
For over 100 years, Ally has helped dealers like you serve your customers by providing the best-in-class products and services you need, and by remaining true to the automotive passion we share. Your dedicated Ally account executive will work hand in hand with you to help you gain efficiencies, increase your product offerings, and work to improve per-vehicle revenue. Because we care about your business as much as you do. We're all better off with an Ally. Contact your local Ally account executive to get started today. Ally, do it right.
Welcome back to Daily Drive. I'm Jamie Butters with Kellen Walker. Yesterday on the show, we said we'd bring you a conversation about a new Toyota ad campaign targeting young Black men, but we're going to get to that another day, considering the big news yesterday. President Trump was in Warren, Michigan on Tuesday, about 18 miles up the road from Automotive News headquarters in Detroit. He was here to tout his first 100 days of his second term in the White House and to announce some changes to his tariff policies meant to ease some pressure on automakers. Our own Paige Hodder spoke with several people outside the rally before it began, both supporters and opponents. Many of them are auto workers living in Metro Detroit. Here are some highlights from those interviews.
Okay, so the big topic we've been covering is tariffs, and I'm wondering how you guys feel about how that has all rolled out.
Well, that's $1 million question. I'm for the tariffs. I think it'll help our auto workers. The thing with the tariffs is if you ask 50 different people, you're going to get 50 different answers. I'm confident that our president knows what he's doing with this, and we can help the auto industry bring back our jobs.
It amazes me that a lot of people can't do the easy math of they charge us, but we don't charge them. That is just absolute nonsense. And yeah, I'm glad we got him. I think it's going to even the playing field for sure.
Well, I think it's long overdue. We face a lot of tariff barriers from our trade partners, both in Asia and Europe. And, tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers, non-monetary barriers like regulations and different things that are put up specifically to keep our products from being sold or imported into other countries. Donald Trump is using tariffs as sort of leverage or a stick to get our trade partners, other countries, to sit down at the negotiating table and negotiate fair trade agreements so we can all bring our trade barriers down together and eliminate some of these barriers that we face overseas. He also wants foreign companies to bring their production facilities, their plants, here to the United States. If they want to sell into our market, he's trying to create some incentive for them to have to build their plants here in America.
So with the tariffs, we're expecting slowdowns in production. So I'm only a muesli assembly worker, but from what I hear and from what I've studied in school is that tariffs do not help the middle class. They don't. They are a regressive tax. And so for the most part, there have been times when tariffs have been put up and it has had the opposite effect of what they were intended. The Smoot-Hawley tariffs are a big example of that.
So a lot of the people we just spoke to inside argue that tariffs will help the auto industry in the long term. What do you think about that?
I don't think so. You can strategically place tariffs, but you cannot blanket them. You cannot put a blanket tariff on the entire country. You can put tariffs on and incentivize the companies to bring jobs back, which is what Joe Biden did. But for the most part, you cannot just do a blanket tariff, or else you will have disastrous effects on the economy.
Do you think more foreign automakers should be building plants in the United States?
I think so. I think we need a manufacturing arm in this country. For as long as I can remember when I was growing up, my parents have taught me this is a service economy. This is a country where we service others. That's how we've kept the United States to be the #1 global reserve currency. But when we started outsourcing jobs, we lost the manufacturing arm of this country.
And what do you think should be done to get it back?
Incentives. I think the big three should be incentivized to bring jobs back, not strong-armed into bringing jobs back. Because you can't build a factory in a day. You can't.
Without it, we're not going to have any work in this country in some year, 10 years maybe.
And the $5 trillion that he's got in investments, I think is going to bring a lot of jobs back. Hopefully they're auto worker jobs, which I see it happening.
Yeah, so we're anticipating some possible news today of adjustments to the auto tariffs. Have you guys heard about that at all?
That's hard to negotiate.
Okay.
You don't negotiate without working back and forth.
And do you think it'll help the anticipated changes help smooth out some of the, I guess, kinks we've been seeing so far and some
absolutely.
of the supply stuff?
Yeah, I think it will.
Negotiating is give and take.
Hopefully get a couple of the deals exposed, and I think it'll go a lot smoother down the road quicker.
The general public that's not paying a lot of attention will realize that you give a little bit, you're going to get even more in the end, and it all will work out.
Yeah, so for the average person, maybe someone who's not working in the auto industry, they might be afraid that this is going to make car prices go up, and maybe they were wanting to buy a car this year. What would you say to that person?
They don't need to be buying a car that's not made in this country anyhow.
I would say there's a lot of propaganda going on to the negative side. We're going to have to wait and see exactly how that plays out. That's my point.
I'm betting out it's going to play very positive for this country.
And what would you say to the automakers who are maybe worried about losing some of their profits in the coming months?
Put the CEO's profits in line with everybody else's, and we'll be just fine.
That's very true. Very true.
I don't know. I think the car companies are going to still sell a lot of cars. Therefore, the profits are still going to be up.
It's simple. When was this country the greatest? The 40s, 50s, some of the 60s. What was our product? Here, by skilled craftsmen.
All right. Sorry, I didn't
Auto
mean to interrupt.
capital of the world.
Right.
Now we're no longer that. Not even close. It's got to come back.
It's simple. America used to build cars that the world envied. Today, the world builds cars that nobody envies. It's hard to argue with that theory.
What do you guys all drive?
Chevy truck and a Jeep.
Chevy Blazer.
Ford F-150.
Do you have any other thoughts or comments on tariffs, cars, anything like that?
Keep strong. Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
I'm looking forward to the announcement today, and I'm looking forward with Trump working with the new Prime Minister of Canada. Mm-hmm. Like you said earlier, maybe they can smooth some of this negativity out so we can work together again.
You know, if tariffs continue, people are anticipating that car prices will go up. What impact do you think that will have on the American people?
So most cars now are going to, no one's going to buy a car. New cars are going to go up in price. Used cars are going to go up in price. Auto parts, if you need to go to get your car fixed, they're going to go up in price. A lot of auto shops may be closing down because I'm not an expert on this, but this is just stuff I learned from college. This is simple economics.
So another big newsmaker is Elon Musk. So how do you feel about someone, from outside the government, a major U.S. automaker, being so involved in the government?
It's either you work on your company or you work in the government. You cannot do both. I follow his company. His shareholders are not happy.
And
I was a business student at Wayne State, and I know what's the most important thing is running your company.
Do you own a car?
I own a car.
What do you drive?
I drive a Toyota.
Okay.
And I am not really too happy with how they've rolled back DEI, but it's the cheapest car that I can get here in the States. And they're probably going to put tariffs on foreign-made cars, too.
Yeah.
So.
Any other thoughts on autos, on Trump?
I think the relative lack of interest in making electric cars is going to hurt this country a lot. Because regardless of if we like to say it or not, we are going to run out of fossil fuels eventually. And we need to have a backup plan, So electric is a stepping stone to probably something, but right now we need to work on trying to make sure we have that infrastructure built.
Because Elon Musk is doing what entrepreneurs and geniuses like that, investors should do. They're developing new products, they're improving them, trying to bring them to market. We have no problem with electric vehicles being developed and improved, so they improve the range and so on. What we have a problem with is the federal government telling us before they have electric charging stations on every corner like they do for gas stations, before the range of the batteries, the battery technology improves to the point where we can go 200 or 300 miles on one charge, we don't want the government saying, well, you got to go buy a fully electric vehicle. And if you don't, we're gonna tell the automakers that they're only allowed to build fully electric vehicles. The government needs to stay out of it. This is a capitalist economy, free market economy. We're not a socialist economy. The government has no business telling private industry what to build. You know who tells companies what they should build? The consumers. And we vote with our wallets and our feet. So if they build a product we like and can use, we'll buy it. If they don't, we won't buy it. The government should stay out of it.
Okay, and one more question.
Yeah, no
What
problem.
do you drive?
I drive a Ford Escape right now. I also would be willing to drive a hybrid so I could use the electric battery around town for short trips. But I do not want to be forced to drive a fully automatic vehicle because sometimes you take long trips or you're driving in the winter when the battery's range is dramatically decreased. And the government was trying to mandate that. Kamala Harris said she did not want any more internal combustion engines to be built after 2035. And I'm afraid if she would have been elected, that's what she would have forced onto the consumers. And she would have done that by increasing the mileage requirements and making the tailpipe emission standards so stringent that the auto companies here in America could not have met those standards unless they had more and more and more fully automatic vehicles in their fleet sales. And that would have forced us to eventually have to buy them. And that the government should stay out of it. Consumers should make that decision.
Okay, any other thoughts on autos, on Trump, on tariffs, anything like that?
Well, I just think it's long overdue that we have a president like Donald Trump. And I think the consumers, the general public, should be patient, have faith, and trust Trump.
You just heard from Brian Pannebecker, a former Ford employee and founder of Autoworkers for Trump, Jimmy Suter, an automotive mechanic fabricator, Nate Weinberg, an assembly worker at General Motors Factory Zero plant, Robert Cowper, a postal worker in Michigan, and Barry Altman, a rally attendee. They spoke with our own Paige Hodder outside of Macomb Community College in Warren, Michigan, ahead of President Trump's speech there on Tuesday evening. That's Daily Drive for today. I'm Jamie Butters.
And I'm Kellen Walker. Thanks to Automotive News executive producer Jake Neer, as well as our own Hannah Lutz, Molly Boygon, Carly Schaffner, and Michael Martinez for their reporting for today's podcast. You can get the latest news on tariffs, sales and earnings, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. And if you enjoy the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.